Do you have beef in the industry? Which YouTuber do you kind of look up to? As a child, who was your hero? In Shmee's opinion, the best road in the world.
I'm going to give a very controversial answer to this one.
Welcome to the Shmuseum, and this is an exclusive interview with Tim Burton, Shmee 150. Let's go. We are back at the Shmuseum. I'm with Shmoo, and we are about to give you an exclusive interview backstage with Tim Burton, Shmee 150, as we build up to Petrolheadonism Underground at Wembley. Spot Shmoo in the upcoming interview. Put the timestamp in the comments. The first two correct answers win 2 free weekend tickets to Petrolheadonism Underground, including a meet and greet with Tim Burton, Shmee 150. Stay tuned.
Welcome!
It's good to be back. It's changed so much.
This whole place has been the most incredible project, going from what you saw, and you've been here a few times over the years,
absolutely,
to what it is now.
And you told us about the vision, and it's great. But we're not here for a garage tour. We want an exclusive interview. We want to ask you questions that people may not have asked you before. Yeah. And since, let's say, 12 months ago, you've launched the Shmoo.
We've got Shmoo the cow, the mascot.
Teddy. So you love cows. Means I've got to ask you a question. Yeah. Have you got any beef with anyone?
Wow.
So we'll come back to that at the end, but Tim, as a child, who was your hero?
I think when I was like a little kid, I didn't really have a hero per se, but you know when you're a teenager, you start thinking what direction you want to go, what you want to do. That was when I want to pick out one person here, because I didn't realize how much lives would kind of intercept going forwards. Olsen.
Wow.
He was X Games gold medalist multiple times. So when I was a teenager, I was obsessed with skiing. He was like the king of freestyle skiing. Amazing. He also had a video blog before anyone else, making regular video content, which obviously inspired me in a big way.
YouTube video blog?
Yeah,
right,
well, pre-YouTube pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Uploading on all sorts of different platforms and pages back then. The whole landscape has changed. But also driving in the Gumball 3000s in the early days. You know, car rallies, doing crazy projects, driving his old Lambos on the snow, that kind of stuff. So combine all those worlds, and a funny thing is, before I even made a YouTube video, I actually met him when I was working at a ski hill in New Zealand. So before, we're talking 16, 17 years ago, I was working, putting up the gates while he was doing Olympic slalom training. It's so funny, and then 10 years later, we're on Gumball alongside one another. It's crazy.
So you still have that communication and friendship now?
It's just crazy, yeah. So he's gone from somebody I loved watching skiing, to somebody I loved watching making videos, to somebody I loved watching doing the Gumball 3000, to me kind of being, I guess, in some way inspired to do that as well.
That's pretty awesome. So another one for you, Tim. Which YouTuber do you kind of look up to or really, inspires you?
That's an interesting question, because in the YouTube world, obviously it's changed a lot since I kind of began. I've been doing it for a very long time. You have to respect Mr. Beast for everything he's achieved. Yeah. It's unbelievable what he's done and how much he puts in terms of effort and cost and just the whole madness of it all. I have always appreciated PewDiePie. He's been so consistent for such a long time. It takes a lot of work, believe me. I mean, I know it firsthand. It's really, really hard work. There are plenty of other people I like watching. Enjoy Marquez Brownlee. The quality, the attention to detail with his tech reviews is, again, out of this world. It's kind of hard to pick like one person, but there are certainly some
anybody
incredible.
you kind of measure yourself up to with obviously your own success?
Not like that, because it's not a competitive landscape. It's like a collaborative world. That's what it's better to work with people. The fact that we're shooting together, it's better with everybody to share, especially for automotive, this very positive, passionate
it's an amazing community, especially with bringing people together at our events, as you've seen, and you're alongside.
For sure.
And it's
love it. For me, filming with everyone, Seen Through Glass, Matt Armstrong, like just everybody I can is always the best.
While we're on that, one of the things that seems to have changed is that the TV personalities, the celebrities, are now recognising the power of social media. And I've seen it with, and I'll say Mike Brewer, for instance, 3 years ago compared to a year ago. We've become quite close, and it feels like a level playing field, but they're also moving towards...
When I started uploading YouTube videos, and had been for a couple of years, so we're talking 2012, 2013, I couldn't believe that more of your traditional industry, television journalists weren't making videos. I didn't understand why it wasn't happening. I was watching the numbers I could get.
Hammond is...
Everyone's in.
Yeah, everybody's in. And I think...
Just took a long time.
I know, but it is so great now. It's become
cool.
a level play. I think, for instance, one of the stats, Matt Armstrong at the moment, he's having more views than BBC Top Gear is in their heyday.
It's crazy, isn't it?
On one video. And when
It's
they're trending
crazy.
on YouTube, when YouTube are reposting you or commenting on your video.
Yeah. If you can get a couple of million views on a video. I mean, Top Gear is obviously a hard metric to ever stack up to directly because it was so crazy, it was so big. But certainly, you know, his videos now get more views than a Top Gear episode. It's bizarre, isn't it? It's
phenomenal.
It's insane to think about that like level of success Matt's had through social media.
And it's just literally
keeps
that
going.
trajectory.
Keeps
exactly.
going.
Tim, we all know you get invited by the big automotive brands all over the world, and that's kind of, I find that really inspirational. We're now working with several brands as Petrolheadonism, but what is the best brand experience or memory you've had in your whole
The single best.
Everything. The single best one.
It's so difficult. Like you said, I've been lucky to go in Bugattis with Andy Wallace around the Nürburgring, to drive crazy cars across the entire planet. Probably, if we're going specific, like best experience with a brand, I'm going to pick the time I flew with Mercedes all the way to South Africa to a safari park outside Johannesburg to go and experience the new G650 Landaulet, the convertible Maybach G-Wagon with a V12. I was sitting in the back filming lions and elephants.
Wow.
On a safari park, like, that's only possible thanks to Mercedes.
When you're in that situation, do you kind of pinch yourself and take stock of where you are? Does it catch up with you later? Because the adrenaline kicks in and everything you're doing is all so fast.
There's no doubt that in the heat of the moment, you're just lost in the excitement of it all, which is crazy. But definitely there is a recapture of that afterwards when you do take a step back and you're kind of like, wait a second. I still have that today with so many things. Like I load up my own YouTube channel and look back at some of the videos and I'm like, wait, did I do that? Did that really happen?
We do small trips and we kind of get to the end of the week and feel like so much time has passed, but it's only been 4 days. But when we watch you relentlessly every day, loading up a video on where you are, and I know from sometimes speaking to you that we're 4 days behind from where you actually are.
It varies, to be honest, sometimes.
It's just phenomenal to see you doing that. And it's a lot of us petrol heads find it very inspiring to see you doing that, but ultimately it's your business, it's your dreams that you're fulfilling.
But do you know what? This sounds cliche, but if you genuinely love what you do,
100%,
you never work a day in your life. It's a cliche statement, but it's so true.
My next question though, I want to walk over here to the Ferraris because I think it's something that the industry want to know about. Mark McCann has recently done a brilliant video about Porsche and their whole thing about being on the list. Really good video, isn't it? I was like, you've bought the 296, an SF90, the Purosangue. Is that because Ferrari said you had to get the SF90 XX?
Not at all.
Oh, really?
If you think about it,
Wow,
I placed my order for this, I want to say summer 2019. Right. Took delivery in early 2022. If you think back then, there was an idea of an XX, that would be optimistic, because they're definitely, no idea of that back then. That, I couldn't tell you exactly when I ordered that, a long time ago. But for me, the cool thing with a brand like Ferrari, and this is the same as any, I'm going to say luxury goods brand, normally, your Hermèses, your Rolexes, your whatever, is the opportunity to kind of get to know the brand, experience the brand, understand the brand. And it's certainly like that for me with Ferrari. I mean, you look at my currently 3 Ferraris that are here. One's a V12 4-seater, one's a 2-seat V6 hybrid convertible, and one is a 2-seat V8 coupe. So they are kind of different experiences to drive. These two are actually amazingly different to drive. You don't really realize. So collecting things, in this case, cars, and certainly Ferraris, is never something you do because you need it, for sure. Being incredibly lucky to be in this position, it's all about you kind of want to do it. You enjoy them, you enjoy the brand. And I love with Ferrari that even their, I want to say entry cars, but it's really a disservice, whether it's the 296 GTS or the Roma Spider I actually have on order as well, are still brilliant cars. Like I've driven a Roma a couple of times, never went for one back at the time because truthfully when it launched 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't have afforded yet more back then. Right. It was all going to be a bit too crazy. And I'm very lucky that I can now. But it gives an opportunity as well for me to say, hey, to my dad, do you want to borrow the car for a couple of weeks, whatever, you know, having those kind of cars around as well. So it's like a double win. Sure. You know, you get to drive it, I get to make some content with it, share the experience of it, let my dad drive it, let other people drive it, and also on top of that, obviously it supports your profile.
And supporting your profile is what, when you do want an XX,
of course, they're going to look at your profile. So it's one of the big differences between Ferrari and Porsche is that Porsche manage all of their allocations for like a GT3 RS on a dealer level.
Right. Okay.
So on a dealer level, and it varies by country.
Okay.
So we can only here in the United Kingdom talk about how it works here, not in the US, not in Germany, not in the Netherlands, Belgium, whatever other country you want to talk about. Here, it can literally be that a dealer principal goes from one dealer to another, brings his friend and big customer along who's never bought from that dealer before, and allocates him a GT3 RS because he wants to.
Right.
That's how it works here. Or a dealer, like in Mark's case, could say, hey, we've got these cars we need to get rid of. If you buy them, we'll give you an allocation.
Which was hilarious.
That's kind of how it works. Ferrari do it very differently in that the profiles are managed centrally in Maranello. So even if you as a customer have an 812 GTS at your holiday home in Miami, you have a Pura Sangue and these here in London, and you have something else in your other home somewhere, they're all on your profile. They're all together. Right. So they know that you have those cars, which I actually find really clever. It must take a lot of time from somebody to manage the CRM behind that.
Collate all of that.
To know everything. And it's actually all in one app, which is really cool. It's nicely controlled.
So in your position you are now, do you feel any special Ferrari is up for grabs when you know that one's coming? Is that the privilege you've acquired?
Do you know
I would say acquired.
I have a ton of comments asking me if I will be getting the LaFerrari successor.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realise that having, well, currently 3, but going on 5 Ferraris is not enough to get you on the list for a LaFerrari successor.
Interesting.
Like, go out and buy a LaFerrari from a dealer, of course, that will support your profile and show your interest in the brand. There's the small matter of a couple of £1 million before that, though.
We've spoken about this off camera, but I have several friends that have F40, F50, Enzo, have several Ferraris, but they've always bought them second-hand.
Yeah, of course.
Possibly. So in that sense, Ferrari don't even know they exist?
Exactly. Ferrari, so, I mean, for any brand, right, it's exactly the same. If your Rolex authorized dealer has never sold you a watch and you've gone online and you've bought some really special Rolex models, they're not going to know who you are. How would they know who you are? Maybe you put one in for a service once, but again, there's no ongoing relationship, right?
Yeah.
You haven't really gone to their events and got to know them and been part of what they're doing. So it was a crazy thing you mentioned back when the LaFerrari was introduced. Customers who did have Enzos, F50s, F40s, maybe 288 GTO as well, didn't necessarily secure an allocation because the dealer doesn't know who they are because they haven't bought a 458 Speciale.
And not necessarily the dealer, the factory had no idea who they are because they're so far removed from the factory.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
And that's really interesting between the Porsche and Ferrari comparison to learn that.
If you think from a business point of view, like reverse this and put yourself in the position of Ferrari or Porsche or any other brand, the value of knowing your customers and having contact with your customers is priceless. I mean, remember when WhatsApp was sold and each of us were valued at $13 or whatever it was back at the time? There's a reason, because we're the customer, we're the data, we're the information, we're the, you know, the knowledge that the brand has of what's happening with their product.
So we have a special visitor in the Schmuseum.
Yes,
your dream Lamborghini, Murcielago SV.
Yep.
And you did buy a brand new Huracan STO, and that's gone now. Yep. So you currently don't have a Lamborghini. Is there a Lamborghini on the cards, or what's the plan?
I sold the STO recently. I owned it for 2 years. It's actually crazy how quickly that time flew by. I did around 8,500 miles with it.
Wow.
A couple of Euro tours and different things. This is my ultimate dream. This belongs to my friend Richard from Challenge the Road. This is the Mercy SV, right? My first ever YouTube video was one of these in this color.
Wow.
So the fact that he's allowed me to just look after this and have it here for a while is really special. I think the difficult thing is there are a lot of amazing cars out there on the market, and I'm not going to lie, if you want to be on the shortlist with Ferrari and Porsche and Lamborghini and AMG,
you need a bigger garage.
You need a bigger garage and a whole lot more money than I could even dream of. Like, it's an expensive game.
Yeah.
And for sure, you know, I would love to have a Lambo that is back in my fleet, but at the moment, I'm waiting for what that right car could be. You know, we're expecting there's going to be a new supercar coming soon that follows on from the Huracan. The Revuelto.
You have the Revuelto, and then we have the Huracan replacement as well,
so
which is rumoured to be a
V12.
V8 twin turbo.
I couldn't possibly say.
Oh, God. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
The V12.
But even if it was a Murcielago SV, would that be the one you needed from Lamborghini? Would that fulfill everything?
I would love one
for
of
you?
these. I'd love one of these, but it's all about timing. It's all about timing. Like, part of the fun of all of this in life is to dream of things and look forward to things. You can't just go out and do everything, tick every box immediately, and then you have nothing that you aspire to. If you're not aspiring to something, what's going to get you up in the morning to go and work hard?
Absolutely.
So 100% for me, I have my own little list of cars for the future. There's a little list of things. I'll say straight out, the ultimate dream end goal is an F50. The day that I'm somehow lucky enough to sell some business I've created and go and buy an F50, tick. I could go and like just drive it and not stop driving, you know, drive into the night every day, go around the world.
Wow. You'd actually drive it as well, wouldn't you?
I would do as many miles as I could. If I had an F50, it would do 10,000 miles in the first year and people would look at me like you're mad, but these are built to do that. I think it's criminal if a car just sits and never gets driven. Everything here in my garage has done probably too many miles, but like I say, it's what they're for.
What's the worst car you've ever driven? What's the car that's let you down the most? Controversial here.
What's the worst car? I think the immediate answer would be to just jump to a certain car, but I think it has to be relative to expectation, right? Because if you're not expecting anything from a car, it's unfair to say that it would be the worst car.
Right.
If you're getting into a car thinking it's going to be incredible, and you're like, is that kind of it?
Sure, yeah.
That's where there's a creep of disappointment. And I'm going to give a very controversial answer to this one. So please don't jump off your seat or like be in too much shock. The car that didn't live up to expectation for me personally, Ferrari F40, which is so many people's poster car. So many people's.
You're going to have to elaborate.
For me, you've got to remember, this is also like an age and stage thing. The first poster I ever had on my wall was an F50. For me, the F50 is a V12 instead of a twin turbo V8. It is an open top instead of a coupe. You can take the roof panel off. It is, the same, but a gated manual. Gated manual V12 just wins every time. So when I've driven the F40, I still think it's a cool experience. I'm not saying, like I said at the beginning, I'm not saying that it's not a great car. I'm just saying I expected it to be the absolute all singing, all dancing, best thing in the entire world I've ever driven. And I've been lucky to drive some amazing cars.
Of course.
And it doesn't go above the F50, Porsche Carrera GT, a whole bunch of other cars for me personally.
The F40, the damp squib.
Oh, there we go.
I've always commented on the amazing eclectic mix of cars you've got, and again, you drive your cars. They're not garage queens. You've driven them to Wembley, you've driven them to Nebworth, and they're out and about. And sometimes on the Gumball, you've done the Gumball with multiple cars. It's astonishing.
We try.
What would be, in Shmee's opinion, the best road in the world? You've driven all of them. So which is the best road in the world?
Okay, the best road in the world. This is not an easy answer for sure, because there are so many great roads. We're standing around some great drivers' cars, like right here. This is perfect. For sure, you have your obvious ones like your Transfăgărășan in Romania. That was Top Gear's favorite driving road. You have Pacific Coast Highway up the United States. You have countless mountain passes in Switzerland and France and around.
The obvious ones, right.
So many, so many. I'm not a big fan of things like the Stelvio Pass because all the hairpins just get annoying after a while. And some of these new supercars, you can't even make the corner. So frustrating. Three-point turn on every corner. Great fun. So I'm going to go with a bit of a more dynamic answer than that. Because if you go to a mountain pass expecting it to be amazing, similar to what we were saying earlier about cars, if you go to the road and you are expecting this to be great, but it's full of cars, it's going to be a disappointment.
Right.
The best road for me is when you're just driving somewhere and perhaps you looked at the map or even looked at your nav screen and you saw the squiggle going up the mountain next to you and you were like, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And then you end up on this newly paved, completely empty, perfect bit of spaghetti up the mountainside, and it's all
nobody
for you.
else is about, and it's just
lost in the moment.
And then the sun hits you on the face.
That's the best.
Wow!
Sun setting. You don't really know where you are.
It's an emotional drive.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those over the years where I haven't really known where I'm going. One immediately comes to mind: Sardinia, La Ferrari Aperta, sunset, roof off, cruising along, found this perfect bit of tarmac, heaven.
La Ferrari Aperta.
Heaven full stop. But then factor in everything else. No, it's about the right place at the right time.
Of course.
Can completely change it. You can drive, you know, let's say early spring, late autumn, you can be on a great road, which in the summer is going to be torture because there are all sorts of cyclists, caravans, and like it's not possible. It's too busy to drive and properly enjoy a road.
Yeah.
But you go there at the right time of year and you're just there when the weather's good. It can be incredible. You know, it can be absolutely amazing.
So, Tim, there's 3 cars missing from the museum right now. But what are they?
So the Zembo is currently at the factory in Denmark.
Okay.
I'll have that back very soon. I kind of left it there over winter.
Yeah.
My Mustang Dark Horse is in America.
Okay, of course.
So done lots of miles with that.
That's staying there though, right?
Yeah, it'll stay over there.
Okay.
That'll stay over there. And we're currently sitting in what I have here of my new Porsche 914 4.
The Porsche 914.
It's a bit different from the rest of my collection, isn't it?
It's very, very different. It's a classic. It's been restored by...
It's currently up with Yorkshire Car Restoration.
Right,
which
yeah,
is
Steve
really
and the
cool.
team.
Yep, Stephen Ryan and the guys there. It's by far the oldest car I own.
Wow.
It's 51 years old, and the next oldest would be my Clio at 20.
Yeah.
It's a bit different, but I wanted a Porsche. I've always loved my Caymans, mid-engine.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a quirky car. We never used to get them here.
No.
So it's like, why not give it a go?
They literally have always been on my radar, but they've always kind of been the forgotten Porsche.
Definitely.
Moreover, it's the actual antiquity of them now, the idiosyncrasies that comes with these classic cars.
For sure.
I love my 74 Mercedes, I love my 65 Fiat, and you just get a whole different experience to what you do with the modern drive-in.
Definitely, and I look at the garage, I like motorsport and the connections to the cars we drive on the roads, right? The technology that comes in racing, that finds its way to certainly the crazy cars that I'm lucky to have here. The 914, it raced at Le Mans in 1970 and won its class.
Yeah.
The first ever Formula One safety car in 1973 was a 914.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy the number of things that 914s actually did, but they got overshadowed because back at the time Porsche were winning everything else with their mid-engine race cars, right?
Of course.
I mean, it is a mid-engine race car as well, but you know, the big stuff that everyone knows. So it almost got forgotten. And now it's going to make a resurgence.
I think Classic Car Weekly are going to pick up on this. Do a story about Tim Burton, Shmee 150, having a 914 restored, and the values are just literally going to double over a weekend. It's
well, I plan
phenomenal.
to do some interesting things with mine and keep it for the long term, so you have to wait and see what we do with that.
Are you aesthetically keeping it original,
No.
or so it's going to be modernised
Colours
and
and trims
customised?
will change.
Wow, that's phenomenal. What's your favourite cheese?
What's my favourite cheese? You know, this used to be a milking parlour, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
So this place that's now filled with horsepower used to be filled with cows.
Perfect.
So I actually don't know what they actually made in here, but I'm sure here in Connected they made some cheeses. So can I just go with whatever that one was?
Absolutely, that's fine. Mine's a Baby Bell, but you can have whatever it was.
I have to go and find out actually.
Let's get back to beef. Should we go to the office? Cool. So going back to the big question, and Shmoo, the lovely cuddly cow, is selling out, sold out on your website, but it comes back to beef. Do you have beef in the industry?
I think one of the cool things about our world, right, is that automotive is very passion driven and nearly always very positive. It's a very lucky space to be in. I mean, imagine the worlds of politics and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Just not fun. We have an amazing community around the entire world. You know, the events, as you said, when we come out to them, it's incredible. Of course, there are going to be differences. People have their differences. But it's about sharing a positive message, and it always has been to me. I want people to love what I love in the same way. So I don't want to get involved in drama, and obviously over the years things have come up, but it's not worth it, you know? It's better in life to focus on things that are good, focus on things that are positive, focus on things that are going to take you somewhere, focus on things that have a good message, focus on things that do the right thing, and don't get involved in just scrapping around, especially when you have a big impressionable audience. You have to respect that.
Absolutely. I think there can be toxicity in the scene, but I think if you are surrounding yourself with the right-minded, positive people that are working in the same direction as yourself.
Absolutely.
And the collaborations speak volumes, don't they?
Yeah, it's the amazing thing, you know, through my YouTube career, I've shot videos with so many different people around the world. You know, YouTubers in the US, in the UK, in Germany, in Italy, in every country. And I love it.
Kind of become jealous in a way.
Even in everywhere, people who have their own social media followings. And what I love the most about what we do is not even necessarily the cars I'd be lucky to drive and the places I've been lucky to be. It's the people I've met around the world, because the language of cars speaks through whether you can actually understand each other to begin with, any kind of background or anything else. If you love cars, if you've got petrol in your blood, you have something to talk about. You're going to make it work.
I learned this at my events very early on. I would park cars randomly, a classic Fiat 500 next to a Ferrari, then a Morris Minor, and then a Lamborghini.
But you'd be amazed how they talk to each other.
The nostalgia of the Lamborghini over that. His dad had a Morris Minor, and all of a sudden it sparks conversations. And then also transcending culture and language. Mr. Miura in Japan was probably one of my most memorable experiences. Can't speak to him, so I was using Google, and Google was speaking it in Japanese to him, and he was responding.
Amazing.
And his passion, and showing us the pictures of his journey through cars to where he got to with that collection. And I know you've seen the collection, you've had the experience
I've been there with him.
And for me, the icebreaker was Valentino Barboni on his wall. And we spoke about that, and I showed him pictures, and at that point he opened up. But ultimately, it didn't matter whether he was a billionaire, a millionaire, or he had a Mark I Escort. The passion is the same. Tim, it's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. We wanted to do something different. We've done tours of the museum many times.
When it was
it's
a bit
an ever-changing
and when we weren't
landscape.
surrounded by ticking watches.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And the view down here, everything you've done here is amazing. What's next for the museum?
Do you know what? I think this is, my private space. It's basically done in terms of the build. Of course, there are going to be more things to come up with. The cars are going to change. Things will come, things will
more
arrive.
Car lifts, so more cars? Or?
I've got ideas of how I can squeeze more things if I have to. No, at the moment, one of the cool things is I've got quite a few cars here from friends as well, which is cool because it means they've got somewhere to store their cars, but also in terms of content, it's something refreshing for the viewer. And that's one of the amazing things, whether it's an XJ220, whether it's a Valkyrie, whether it's a Mercy SV, whatever it is, it's just amazing to me even to be able to look at these things.
Well, everybody's looking forward to seeing you at Petrolheadonism Underground.
Can't
Your
wait.
meet and greets are nearly sold out. We're going to release a few more on the 1st of March. Do we know or have any inkling of what cars, or will it be a surprise for me? Or will it be a surprise for everybody?
We're going to bring a few cars. I like to mix it up a bit, right? We'll figure out what's here and what we can bring. Stay tuned. That's all we'll say.
Absolutely, guys. Get your tickets to Petrolheadonism Underground. Don't forget to put the time that you saw Shmoo in the video into the comments, and we will be in touch so you can win 2 tickets, a meet and greet with Tim, and a weekend at Petrolheadonism Underground. Thank you for watching.